Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of this video finds you. It's your boy Jay here, ahead of TGS and supposedly the reveal of Monster Hunter 6. Alright, it is being speculated that we are slated to receive information about the next big Monster Hunter title at TGS. So ahead of that, I just want to do a little bit of speculating with the community a little bit and talk to you guys about flagships, right? So what kind of flagship are you hoping to see in the next Monster Hunter, right? Obviously, it's impossible to predict, right? Like, no one's gonna get a correct prediction. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not gonna happen because it's very often that the flagship of the Monster Hunter title is tied to the unique quote-unquote gimmick of the title, right? I mean, see Kushala Daora in introducing elders as we know them today, see Lagai Cruz in underwater hunting, see Magnamalo in Wirebugs bringing Hellfire Blight, where you got a Wirebug to cure yourself of the status, and the moves that he has that requires you to wirefall out of them so as not to get knocked by the second portion of the attack. You know what I mean? So it's going to be impossible to actually predict what the flagship is going to be, but I like speculating and talking to you guys about what you want to see or any ideas you have for a future flagship, right? I mean, if this video found you, clearly you're a person who has passion for Monster Hunter, either because you've already been subscribed to me or YouTube thinks that you would enjoy a video like this. So yeah, if you're new here, definitely subscribe. I do videos like this all the time and I reply to each and every comment that hits this video. So yeah, definitely comment down below what kind of flagship are you hoping to see. What class of monster? Do you have ideas for a specific gimmick? Let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, I do plan on replying to each and every comment that hits this video, and I know no one's gonna get it right. It's impossible to predict the flagship of the next Monster Hunter, but hey, I want to hear your guys' ideas, and yeah, let's just dive right in. Now I'm gonna go first and you guys can also comment on my ideas for what maybe future flagships can be. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so I've got two main ideas for flagship ideas for Monster Hunter 6. So my first one is gonna be more than one flagship. And I don't mean it in a Fated 4 Unrivaled 2 kind of way, right? I do like the Fated 4 and I do like the Unrivaled 2. Don't get it twisted, I do like them. They're cold, they're great. But my thing is, they didn't really interact with each other in any kind of special way, if that makes sense, right? Like Mizutsune, Astalos, Glavenus, and Gammoth, like they didn't interact in any special way during their heyday, during their time, right? It was just four monsters to represent the four different towns of the generations, and you know, it was a cool concept. It was cool, right? And the same thing with the Unrivaled 2. Like, what do Valstrax and Bloodbath Diablos like do together, right? They don't work together with anything, and they're not like a very notable pair like Rathian and Rathalos, right? But like Rathalos is a flagship in its own right by himself, but you could also say kind of that like Rathian is a flagship as well, right? She's in every game, and you know, she's the yin to Rathalos' yang, all that. And that's kind of what I want to see from new flagships, if they do multiple flagships, right? Like a pair or maybe two different monsters that have some kind of synergy going on, right? The closest thing I could think of, and most recently, is going to be Narwa and Ibushi, right? Kind of like how, you know, Narwa did the thing with Ibushi to become All Mother Narwa, right? Something like that, but on a flagship sort of level, and where both monsters can exist like separately, right? Or even something as small as Lunastra and Teostra, right? Their turf war isn't like a turf war. Like the game says it's a turf war and they call it a turf war, but like it's a combo attack, right? They get together and they help each other out and they bounce off of each other. There's synergy there between the two flagships, and I think you could have something like that in a Monster Hunter game. You can build it up in the story to where like you meet one, you fight one, and then you got to fight the other, and then maybe later on, before even the final boss, you have to fight them both, and fighting them both is way different than fighting them separately, right? Like something else, another example like Celtis and Celtis Queen, right? Like Celtis is this itty bitty, like, super easy first monster you ever fight, and then Celtis Queen, the Celtis shows up and then interacts with the Celtis Queen in this special sort of way. Like, wouldn't that be cool as a flagship type of deal, right? But less so in the way like Celtis and Celtis Queen works, right? Where Celtis is way weaker than the Queen, but you get where I'm going with this, right? That's one of the ideas I have for a flagship, a pair of flagships that actually work together rather than something like the Fated 4 where there's 4 flagships but they don't really care about each other. You feel me? Okay, so my other idea for a flagship monster, I want this monster to be smaller in stature, right? I don't want it to be a super big monster, and I'll tell you why in a second. It could be like a small, like Neopteron, or even like a snake wyvern, like if they make it a worm and they want to lean in that kind of direction. But the other idea I have for a flagship monster is I want it to be a monster that can infect other monsters, right? But not like Malzeno with the Curio or Gormagala with the Frenzy Virus. No. I want this small monster to be able to crawl on another monster and infect it, and, you know, have it like alter the monster's brain chemistry, or even just outright control its brain and change its behavior up and ride it, quote unquote, like kind of like a wyvern ride, but against us, right? So, you know, think Cordyceps virus and ants in real life, right? Like the Cordyceps virus can like infect an ant, and then it makes the ant crawl around to other places. That way, when the fungi, it's not a virus, it's a fungi. That way, when the fungal spores, like, you know, pop on the ant's body, they rain down and they can spread to more. And, you know, it's crazy. Like, look it up, Google it, learn about the Cordyceps fungus. But like, they make insects, various insects, like zombies, right? But I kind of want that sort of thing to be an inspiration for this Monster Hunter flagship, right? Small in stature so that it has the ability to crawl on other monsters. So for example, let's say you know, you're fighting the monster itself, right? And the monster itself has to be, you know, a fair bit strong. You know, it is the flagship after all. But its gimmick is it can take control of other monsters. So not only do you have to pay attention to the monster you're fighting, let's say this monster and say, I don't know, a Zinogre is in the same map. Well, during the fight, while you're fighting it, or maybe in some special way, you can see the monster like crawl onto the Zinogre, and now you're fighting the Zinogre and this new flagship at the same time, right? And you can see the flagship like on its body somewhere, and you have to attack it to make it fall off, so that now you can, you know, dunk bomb the Zinogre and it can leave the area, and you can one-on-one against the virus monster if you want. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's how you disengage, quote unquote, this viral symbiosis like thing that this thing goes on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a parasite, right? I want it to be something like that, and it can work on every monster in the game, right? I mean, these games are going to be targeting probably the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X. I mean, it's a bunch of power, right? These are powerful consoles, and I think with the new tech, they'll be able to make something like this work, right? So that way, each monster kind of has like 2 different states, right? Like when it's being you know, when it's infected by this new flagship, it has a totally different behavior. It fights different, it does different things, and it comes at you more recklessly because it's the flagship controlling its brain, right? Like, it has no self-preservation anymore, so it goes all out. So maybe the attacks hit harder, or maybe the monster takes damage every time it attacks because it's going so hard, and like, I don't know, maybe it's tearing muscles, blah blah blah. You can write crazy lore and really go in depth with it, and have the scientist part of the Monster Hunter team. You know, there's always like a scientist in the village you're at, you know what I'm saying? Like, really do the research and be like, oh, we found out this is what's happening, whatever. And you can position it in a way where, you know, you're going through the story, and then you fight one monster, and then you have to fight the monster again, but it's infected by this thing, and they're like, yo, what's that thing on the Rathalos' leg, and why is Rathalos behaving this way, blah 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 blah. And maybe the quest ends the first time you get the monster to fall off, and, you know, they're like, yo, what is going on? And then you got to go back to the village, the researchers do some research, blah 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 blah. But like, you know, I think it'd be a really cool concept to have a monster that can alter the other monster's behavior, right? You know, I like monsters that have an ability to have an effect on other monsters, right? As you could probably tell from my 2 suggestions, right? Like I'm suggesting a pair of flagships that affect each other's behavior, and now I'm suggesting this like virus type parasite monster that changes the behaviors of other monsters. So now, not only do you have to pay attention to that flagship itself, you got to pay attention to who's on the map, which can lead to way more exciting hunts. Like, what if they put this monster on a map with like only Elder Dragon? It's like, yo, when Valstrax gets infected, it does XYZ. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of already had something like that in the Risen with the Curio, but this time it's a little bit different because it's an actual monster that's actually doing the attacking rather than like this thing that comes with a monster in the Curio with Malzeno. But yeah, those are my suggestions, my top 2 suggestions for what I kind of want to see out of a new flagship monster that's going to be in the next title. So yeah, comment down below your ideas. Do you guys like my ideas? Yo, let me know in the comments down below. Go crazy in the comments. Tell me all your wacky, crazy ideas that you want to see in the next game, or even in a future game. I do plan on replying to each and every comment that hits this video. I love making these type of videos where like everyone's talking and sharing ideas and we're all talking to each other. And so that's why I made this video. It's fun. I like to see what you guys' thoughts are on this type of thing and what you guys want to see out of a flagship. I know no one's gonna get it right, but hey, let's just have a little bit of fun and, you know, chop it up this week before TGS shows up and we have any idea about what the next game is going to be like. So yeah, hit the comments down below, go crazy. I'll reply to each and every one of them, and as always, people, happy hunting. Peace.